on his way, he's not gonna quite make it, so,
I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for.
what's that?
I don't know if that's what you're looking
Well, thank you for meeting early, to kind of touch base with us. This is Melanie.
Hello.
What is your last name, which is so hard?
Campanile.
Campanile, it shouldn't be so hard. She's representing the skate park group with a report on what they did with their test pits.
Yes.
What's
Oh,
that
yeah,
again?
Melanie.
Didn't quite get that.
The test pits,
Okay.
Test pits for the skate
Oh,
park.
for the,
Yeah.
yes,
proposed skate park.
yes,
Do you want me to just go for it?
Yep.
sure.
You
This
know
is
what,
what
let
this
me just give you these to have a look at. And that's not obviously what's going on here, that's what is going on, or went on last year in Maine. It's just something to kind of give us an idea. So since, over the last couple of months, what we've been able to do is gather some community volunteers to conduct a geotech survey of that area of the park. What they found was a small amount of water and some garbage, nothing that seemed too concerning. We were then able to reach out to the design company, the skate park design, Pillar Designs is their name, reach out to them and share what we'd found. And what they did was they found this park that was built last year in Maine that you're looking at, which had very similar, drainage area. So they took a look at what they had done and how they had prepped the ground, and that's kind of the route that they would recommend that we take. So although that park that they built was a different shape, it's actually exactly the same area. And so what they did based on their geotech survey, as I say, the results very similar to ours, was they dug out 3 feet, refilled 2 foot of it, put in 12 inches of stone, some kind of geo fabric, like a mesh over that, and then top filled that and actually kind of raised it. You can see from the photos what they did, and that was enough to mitigate any kind of sinkage and also the kind of the rise and ebb of any water that's in the ground. So they did that for about $25,000, and theirs was built and up and done. And Pillar Designs are happy to work with us and come up with some blueprints. There is a cost to that, but we've got some very positive feedback from the community, and we're feeling pretty positive that if we fundraise, we'll be able to get the ball rolling with Pillar Design so that we can get to the point where we've got an actual blueprint of the park. And that's pretty much where we are. That's pretty much the progress that we've made in the past couple of months. And so we're really at the point where it's a little bit like we can't really proceed without the go-ahead, because obviously we don't want to fundraise if we're not going to be able to go ahead with the project.
What was Pillar Designs fee? What did they say?
They are going to charge us $6,500 to work with us to come up with a blueprint, all the design features that we're looking for, and kind of walk us through the process as well, because this is what they do. So they can kind of help guide us and point us in the right direction of what would need to happen to get this going.
So there's a design fee, and they said that to do something similar to this would be $25,000.
Well, that was just the ground prep. So the cost of
I
prepping.
thought that was what,
No,
from what
That's
initially we were
No,
told.
so the 25K was pretty much what it cost them, and actually Maine managed to get that completely covered with volunteer work, so it didn't cost them, but it would have cost them about 25, and then about 75 to develop the actual park itself. So it's 100K total is what we would be looking to fundraise.
And that would be to complete it.
And that would be a complete park, yes. And then whatever we can get volunteered, donated, local concrete companies. I mean, we already had Padala, who did the excavation for us to get the geotech survey done, and he did that, you know, for free. We had another local gentleman who was able to do the actual technical piece of the survey for free. So people are already definitely wanting to get involved and wanting to give their time, but assuming we needed the full amount of money, it's $100K that we would need to fundraise.
Are you getting a feel for how many of the children are really gonna stick with this and are interested in it, or is it just a handful? I mean, $100,000 is a lot of money to spend for something that you're gonna use with just a handful of kids.
Right, so that would definitely be something, and there's lots of skate parks from Beacon, Peekskill, Poughkeepsie to look at and see kind of how they've found that, because you're right, who would want to.
I mean, children tend to be like, you know, gung ho and then die out, you know, they move on to the next big thing, or they grow up and go to college or whatever.
Right, and I would think for sure that the kids, you know, involved in it right now, or who are skateboarding right now, might not necessarily be the same kids who are there in 5 years' time, but they'll be new kids, because since I was a kid, which is a while ago now, there's been skateboarding, and, you know, so I think there's constantly new interest in new kids, and then of course there's some diehards who never stop, so I think you'd find probably some consistency, and then there'd be a definite turnover.
Has someone done research on reaching out to other parks to see the pros and cons of it? I know that my neighbor up in East Mountain Works, I think it's Yorktown, I'm not positive, but they actually did away with their park, and I'm not sure why. So, and that could be just one, and who knows where it was, or I don't know anything about it, but has anyone reached out to other parks and?
I know Mrs. Hartford has spoken, because I think Beacon finished theirs fairly recently, and I know that she's spoken to somebody from that project, and then she's spoken to somebody at one of the big, forgetting the name of the guy and the foundation that Tony Hawk, at the Tony Hawk Foundation. So he's, if anyone hasn't heard of him, he's a super well-known skater, and he runs a foundation that helps set up skate parks, mostly in sort of deprived areas. But they also offer a lot of guidance about how to go about it and how to connect with community, and
I'm sure you wouldn't be the person I'd go to find the cons of the park, though.
Absolutely. So yes, I know Mrs. Hartford has definitely started reaching out and has spoken to some people, and I think there's lots of people out there that we could.
Yeah, I think it'd be
connect with.
worthwhile to just contact
Absolutely,
other
yeah.
communities and how they started, and
Right.
whether they regret it, or whether it's been a great success, or
Right.
whatever. It'd be good to know.
I know there's a big one in Vermont. They built a big one with the Tony Hawk Foundation, and I know that's ongoing. There's so many places out there that we could connect with. So I think we'll continue to do that 100%.
There's a nice one in Hopewell too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're surprising, and I believe they've just made skateboarding an official Olympic sport now. So for the next Summer Olympics, and I think that's going to generate an awful lot of interest in kids, because they're going to watch TV and they're going to see people doing it, and it's going to be very inspiring. So
Have you surveyed the high school and middle school kids to see how many of them were
yes,
into
and I
it?
miss
Because this is not an area that I see kids walking around with a skateboard. Now, I understand we don't have a park.
right.
Like
So a
the-
lot of them are taking their skateboarding and they're going down to Peekskill, and they're going to Beacon, and they're going to Poughkeepsie, and they're going elsewhere, I think. And
Who is the project manager for this?
well, the point person has been Mrs. Hartford, who is a teacher at Haldane.
The Haldane lady?
Right. So I think that's how the whole project got started up. It was a project with her 8th grade class, and that's how it kind of got started. But as it sort of gained momentum, she started trying to get parent volunteers, you know, who have kids who are interested in skateboarding, and I guess we're sort of at that strange point in the project where we really need to get somebody other than her who's truly in charge of it and kind of create a committee, but it's just that knowing when to go all out with it, like if it's a no-go project with the area that we're talking about, then
So what would make it a no-go project other than
if we
this
don't
lady
get,
is unable to raise the funds?
I think just if we don't get the permission, if we don't have the permission to build it. So assuming that we've got,
Is that us?
Yeah, it's us.
We said to go
I
ahead.
thought we had given.
I thought we had given them.
we've got total
Well, you did give the go-ahead to investigate
to
and see,
investigate.
and to test the ground and see if it was a viable place to have a skateboard park.
Right, so we're coming back
The
the
only
same
place,
place like
so now they're coming back with the, information that the geo people are saying, yes, this is a doable place. The way that they will have to do it is based on what they just explained, how much gravel will have to be, the whole thing. So now it would be like, are we gonna give permission? So now, are the trustees gonna say, yes, it's a viable project, worthwhile for the community, we should go ahead and see if it comes to fruition. I mean, there are a lot of
Right.
steps between now and someone, going down with their skateboard to the skate park, but many things, you mentioned so many that have to happen, but I think before the group wants to move forward, they wanna make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
You see what has to be done, the water is not an issue, it's gonna be taken care of by what, was suggested, so do we
Yeah,
go?
One question about the time of day that the, borings and testing is done. Was it at high tide or low tide?
I asked the same question, and I'm not sure, I know you've got a copy of
No.
Chris's, you don't have a copy of that? I can find it, I can get back to you on that,
Because it would seem to
definitely.
me that that would make a difference.
Right,
If it was a few inches at high tide, that's fine, but if it was a few inches at low tide, that may indicate a more significant problem.
right. So I can absolutely double check that
Okay,
and get back to you.
okay, great.
And the design, if you design, the engineering for that, is that just for the structure above ground, or who's actually designing and saying that the, the base or the prep work that's needed, the gravel and all that, is there actually a design for that will go out to bid, or, I know you're gonna try to get people to do it, for, volunteers to do it, but if there are no volunteers, who's actually designing and saying what's needed?
I believe that Pillar Designs covers all the prep work, what is necessary to be done for the ground, for
Okay.
the drainage, and to establish whether or not, or to establish an area that can support the weight of the concrete that is going to be.
Okay.
But it's one of those things where you need the, above ground design to
Right.
figure out how much weight you're trying to.
So the design will
Discuss.
incorporate everything?
So yes, so Pillar
Right, okay.
Designs are our,
Okay, I wasn't sure if they were.
For $6,500.
Right, okay.
So the stone that they're gonna put in, the fabric, that's to keep the water from coming into it?
I think it's just allow the water to,
Right.
rise and fall and disperse without, it becoming,
Because there is
bosh.
there is a trench there full of stone, goes to the outfield, that's for drainage.
Okay,
And, I don't know, it hasn't, I remember when we put it in when we did the field.
But that's on the field side, right?
It's comes from the cove into right field.
Okay.
so whether there's
I don't
anything
know how
they
far
can
down it is,
utilize,
I'm not sure how far down
whether there's any existing drainage they can utilize would be interesting, but as of right now, what they're telling us is,
Yeah.
as I say, that area could be prepped.
it is.
Once this area is completed, if it's completed, is it going to be fenced off, so there's a division between the field and the skate park?
Now the detail of it, I believe that yes, you have to have fencing for safety, but what you're not looking to create is like visual barriers, so that,
Looking to see, if there's someone playing right field on the ballpark and they're running for a ball and they're gonna run smack into a
oh
skate
no,
park.
and of
There's
course the
already
ball
a
field
fence.
is already fenced
There's a
itself.
fence already.
It's on the other
Yeah.
side of the fence.
So So it would be outside of that existing fenced area. But I believe for safety that there is fencing around the edge of the skate park itself.
And as far as maintenance goes, do you have any idea what's involved in that? I know it seems very simple, but I'm sure there has to be maintenance or.
Yeah, and I think certainly my understanding right now is that the concrete presents less maintenance. You can also build skate parks out of kind of plywood, and there's different materials. Concrete is the most easily maintained and sustained, and that's what we're going for. But I think there needs to be some sort of checking protocol set up, you know, and that just needs to become part of the plan, where somebody goes there once a month or however often it is. And again, we'll sort of look to other skate parks and what the sort of accepted maintenance plan is, and see what that looks like.
Anything else from the board? I think we're fine with you moving ahead on it.
I'd just like to get the answer about high tide and low tide.
Yeah, sure.
If it's low tide,
And if you could reach out to some local areas, not, outside the state, like if there is one in Hopewell or whatever, and just get some feedback, I
Yeah.
think that'd be important.
Yeah.
okay.
Super. Thank you.
I do have a question for the rec commission. The lady who wants to have.
Yeah, but that's next. We have two,
Okay, we're in the middle of our public hearing.
yeah.
We didn't open it, right?
No, we haven't opened it yet.
Okay.
So we're gonna open up our public hearing, and if anyone comes in, we will kind of work with them on this, or
Okay, well, goodbye.
if not.
Okay. I have to go get the application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll now officially open our public hearing, proposed amended chapter 27 of Village Code on Recreation Commission.
As an overview, chapter 27 is a rec commission chapter in the village code. The changes that we're proposing and that we will be discussing in the public hearing is to change the composition of the board from 7 members to 5 members, which is something that you have requested. In addition, the current code does not state the term length of each of the members of the board. So we've inserted in the change that the term of the members shall be fixed so that they have, they are 5-year terms. Okay. And it will be rotating, so somebody will expire this year, somebody will expire next year. In addition, we've changed the use of the parks, retaining that it is by permission of the Village Recreation Commission and the Board of Trustees. But we also have included now a non-town or non-village resident can apply for permission to use any village park. That application must be received 8 weeks prior to the requested date, and it is subject to the approval of the commission and the village board. And this would enable the use of the park by non-residents, non-village and non-town residents, which is what we have in front of us from the lady who wants the food and wine festival there in the summer. And that's it. It's the 3 changes: the number of members, the term of each member. We're rendering it explicit. It was not explicit in the old code, and we're extending the use to non-village and non-town residents. Does anyone have any questions about the amendments to the village code?
I'm not sure why we're adding that they're gonna apply at least 8 weeks prior to any requested date. For ticketed events like the one, So they can be received before the 8 weeks, but they have to be at least 8 weeks prior.
Correct.
Because for ticketed events, that's,
Well, it's ticketed or non-ticketed.
Right.
I mean, there may be,
so,
we're not excluding non-ticketed events.
right, okay. All right, I just wanted to,
And we increase the lead time to give the commission and the board an opportunity to review the application. No other questions?
You guys good with everything?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment about the five, narrowing it down to five. I know the town rec had an opening on their board, and they went a year without even any interest at all, so I think trying to get 7 people interested is kind of a real uphill
Over
struggle.
the years, I think it wasn't open until a couple of years ago that we actually had 7 people. Now, we had, for all the years we had, it was mostly 5.
This just seems more manageable,
Yeah.
five people. As you suggested.
we appreciate that.
Well, I think we have to leave it open for a bit longer.
Oh, okay.
So that- We'll keep
7:30?
it, keep it open till 7:30, and
Okay.
we can discuss the other.
The only thing I got is it's 8 weeks prior.
At least 8 weeks.
At least 8 weeks.
Right,
Now, these people are 9 months ahead.
right.
Why so long?
Why 9 months ahead?
Yeah.
For, as I understand it, for that particular event, there are significant, public, they've gotta do
Oh,
public
publicity.
relations, they've gotta line up their vendors. There's a lot of moving parts
Okay.
to put together that event, as opposed to, let's say, the KFC,
Yeah.
where everybody's here, everybody's working together, they've done it before.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we can discuss the wine event with that application, or?
I think we gave them the draft of the new application. I'm trying to find one here myself. I tried to print one out just before I left the house. And the fees that would be charged. And I apologize because I'm not as organized as I thought I was.
The last, Ruthann, you were going to poll the board members to see, the Recreation Commission members, to see if they were in favor of.
I did poll them, and they felt that they did not wanna do it electronically. They wanted to sit and meet and discuss it with you and make sure we're all on the same page. They didn't wanna do it electronically. They didn't wanna do it by email.
Okay.
So, and they had the same questions, why so early, what will the, everything be, so I think I've answered some, you've answered some. So I think that the thing that we have to clarify is the fees that we're going to charge a profit group. And we went to by the day versus just for the event. If you remember the last copy that I gave you, and I apologize, I don't have more to pass out to you tonight. We were talking that rather than $2,000 for profit ticket event, it should be by the day, because we don't wanna have it say $2,000, and then it be someone come in and say, it's $2,000, we're gonna be there for 4 days. So, in our discussion, we talked about it being by the day, that for a ticketed event, a profit ticket event, it would be $1,000 a day. But the setup day and the takedown day, there'd also be a nominal charge of $250 for the setup day and the breakdown day. So because, again, we can't use it for that, we can't have anyone else come in for those events. So Friday is a setup day, it would be $250, Saturday and Sunday would each be $1,000 each, and Monday, if Monday was the breakdown day and the cleanup day, then that would be another $250.
Did you say Saturday and Sunday were each 1,000 or 2,000?
$1,000 a day.
1,000 per
And it
day.
doesn't make any difference how many days. If you decide you're gonna have a 5-day event, then it would be $1,000 a day.
That's fine, that's fine.
If it's a 3-day event, it's $1,000 a day.
But cleanup should occur immediately following the event. The breakdown is the breakdown of the tents and the, removal of the portable
Right.
toilets, et cetera. I don't think we want to have people leaving trash for the cleanup the next day. I think that should be done the day immediately following the event.
I agree with you.
So there's
Yeah,
a,
that's fine.
there's a difference between cleanup.
And breakdown,
Breakdown.
right.
Right. I think we call it breakdown. We didn't call it cleanup, we call it
Two
breakdown.
different things.
So the expectation would be the area would be cleaned at the end of every day.
Right.
If there's Saturday, the cleaner should be having Saturday, if there's Sunday again, it should be, so at the end of every day, it should be cleaned.
Yeah,
I
that
think
that was our thought. We didn't, when we say breakdown, we're just talking about the
Right,
physical.
getting the porta
Take
potties
down.
out, getting everything else out, getting the tents down.
You're right. We should specify that in the
Yeah,
Yeah,
intention cleanup every day.
Okay. So it sounds as if you have everything that you need now?
I think we have, doesn't it, do you
one
have
thing,
any other?
do you got, what do you feel about capping the number of days actually that someone can do something? Or does anyone have any thoughts on that, if somebody, I can't think of who would want it for longer, but do you wanna have somebody there for 5 days, or a week, or 2 weekends, you know?
Yeah, we don't want Woodstock going on here, do we?
No, I mean, I don't know if that would happen, but maybe we should throw that in there if we,
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah,
I think,
we should put it in the law.
I go back to events that occurred 30 years ago, where, the hospital used to have a fundraiser. It started Thursday night, continued Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, that was a nonprofit, but the fire company used to have, fairs,
So
I may be
Thursday
using-
night- Thursday night, and one to Saturday, to Sunday night.
right, so I can see local groups wanting to have, potentially, have fundraising events that would extend beyond one day. But the application should indicate the number of days, and then it's up to the commission and the village board to say yes or no based upon who is asking for it, what is the purpose of it.
When is it happening? What else is going on in the village?
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that we can certainly monitor that.
You leave it open and so that you folks can make an informed decision about whether or not the request is a reasonable one.
Yeah, we can differentiate between nonprofit and for-profit.
You can use discretion, use
Yeah.
judgment and discretion in
Mm.
deciding for or against
Right.
an event.
now the one
When
thing, since we brought up nonprofit, it just seems like there's more and more nonprofit, it seems like everyone's a nonprofit, it's not like nonprofits used to be, you know,
Yeah.
like there's
Right.
like KFC and Lions
Well,
Club
there's
or whatever.
nonprofit and there's not-for-profit.
Yeah.
Very two different distinct groups by federal government regulations. But go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, you know, it just seems like there are people that could be non-for-profit that are, you know, basically seem to be profit for me, that, you know, we would have to treat as not-for-profit, and is that fine with everyone, or I guess there's no way to,
Well, that's in the fee structure, or not in the fee structure.
Maybe that we have to determine, and when we, as we were working on Dockside, we decided to pretty much pull out the differentiation, and we're not gonna differentiate, this is the rates, period. Because once you put it in the fee structure, then you've gotta determine legally or whatever, you know, if you're a not-for-profit or a number, what,
In the application process, which will be is obviously getting cleaned up every time, if you're a not-for-profit, you have to attach your federal paperwork that says you're a 504, yeah, you gotta attach, if you're.
503C.
501.
501, yeah, it's not just like, yes, we are, I mean, we have to see that that's the person, that's
In-
really, the 501c3.
But in the fee structure, do you differentiate between?
Yes.
So here's the question, why? It's not a criticism, it's just, why would you do that? Why would you not establish a fee structure for the use of the park? it's a generic fee. You can waive, it seems to me you can choose to waive the fee. So for example, if the Village of Cold Spring wishes to have a luncheon, a picnic there, or a barbecue there, you could waive the fee. We would hope you would waive the fee.
Yeah.
If the fire company chooses to use the park for the junior fire academy, I would think you would waive the fee.
But-
So, I mean, those are events that benefit the community. The
Well,
picnic,
that's actually the way it is.
But they're not charging for it.
I mean, most of it is a fee, there's supposed to be a fee for everything. We waive the ones that, if, like it's fire company or,
We have village employees that had graduation parties down
yeah.
there.
I mean,
Just for example, Scott Merrill had a
right,
daughter grad, we waived the fee for him because he was a village employee.
Right.
Yeah, we have waived.
yes. And
So
I
when you
think that's-
say, so a village nonprofit group or outside, let me just give you an example, say, what's the place in, the recovery center up at,
Walter.
Walter Hovey?
whatever. Okay, they're obviously a not-for-profit. They come and they wanna have a fundraiser down there, okay? They're not-for-profit, but they're not a village resident, and they're not a village not-for-profit. See, this is what, see now you get into so many, I see what you're saying too, just a flat fee and then just decide if you're gonna waive or not, but then you get into the, who do you waive for and who you don't waive for, and misunderstandings or misinterpretations. I don't know if I would wanna get into the,
I mean, I would think you would take into consideration what kind of activities are going to be going on for, let's not pick on Walter Hogan Home. Let's pick on the Catholic Church, just because they're down the road here. The Catholic Church wants to have a fundraiser, and they wanna bring in, can't do games of chance any longer, but they wanna bring in, children's, not toys, but the bouncy houses and things like that. And they wanna do, let's say it's an Italian festival, as they used to do at the church. So you've got all the Italian food, you do the march, the statue around the village or down to the, thing. I would think you would look at how many people you think would be attending. Is it primarily people in the community? Because I would think that it would probably be mostly people who are part of the parish. And decide that you're going to charge the full fee, you're going to waive the fee, or you're going to reduce the fee.
I think
Maybe
that puts us in a situation that I'm not comfortable being in. That we have to make a determination based on everything, whether or not, and it can become, well, hey, you don't like that particular organization in the village, so you're gonna not waive the fee, and I would rather not get into that. I would rather
so,
not
this is,
leave us to make the decision to waive or not. I would rather leave it set in stone that either it's a not-for-profit or charity or whatever, or it's not. Because for us to make a determination one way or the other, leaves a village board, whether it's us or whoever else comes after us, to pick and choose, and it may or may not be.
It was vulnerable to charges of discrimination.
Yeah, right, I mean, it puts us in an awkward position.
So if you go to the 501c3, you could have a fairly large event down there where, it's a ticketed event.
Then we can
It is a
We can-
ticketed event.
limit a 501c3 to size, like a small one or a large one, a ticketed or
KFC,
non-ticketed.
KFC event is a ticketed event.
Right, and which has thousands of people, so that's a different price than somebody's regular.
let me
But
just
it's
tell you
not
what
a
the fee schedule is as currently drafted. The fee schedule for anyone just wanting to use it for a party or just wanting to use it like they have, doesn't change, okay? So if somebody wants to go there with a party with 75 people, 100 people, that's a party. They're not charging people to go to the party, they're inviting people to go to the party. A ticketed event is when we get into this thing about not-for-profit and and profit events, okay? And it says, ticket event, this includes all events where use and access to Cold Spring Village property is closed to the public and charges are levied for admission, sales, or entry fees, okay? Because someone else can't go in there, if they're at the gate, you have to pay to go in. You know, it's not open to anybody else, so the park is closed to anyone else. That's why Dockside is gonna be a completely different thing. And then Mayor's Park, the police have established that the maximum number of people that can be in there are 2,000. It's 2,000. That's what Larry Burke gave us last year when we started this. Right now, the application says that for a not-for-profit, it's $100 a day.
For a ticket event.
For a not-for-profit, for a ticketed event. If you wanna change it, if you wanna come up with a different number, I mean, that's why we're having this conversation. I'd really like to get the word draft off my computer with this. I'd like to finally have a document that we bring to you and say, this is the final piece. Not-for-profits would not have to pay a fee for the setup day and the breakdown day. We can, if we want to, we could charge them $50 on each end. Right now, it's $100 for each day, and then $100 for a deposit, okay? Not a profit event, a ticketed event, like we just said, would be $1,000 a day for use of the area, okay? And then and I'm sorry, I don't have the current one looking at me, what the deposit would be for that. I think it's a total of $1,000 deposit. It's like $500 a day for the deposit, $1,000 a day for the use, $500 a day for the deposit, $250 for setup days with no deposit on setup days. Am I clear enough? Okay. So, if you wanna change, and you wanna change the fee for the not-for-profit, this is the time to come and, give us an idea of what you think would be more appropriate for a not-for-profit use for a ticketed event. Cause yes, they're gonna sell tickets, they're gonna make money, okay, and they're gonna use the facilities. Remembering they have other fees that they have to pay. They have to pay for the police. They have to pay for a person from, what do we call it? They have to have someone from the town there, during the event, so if anything they need, so it's another fee that they have to pay on top of that. They have to pay for the porta sands. They have to, they have to pay for the dumpsters, whatever. So I
But
mean,
for-profit organizations would still have to pay those
right,
fees too.
right, they do, right. So I mean,
Right.
they're not just paying $100 a day. They
Yeah.
have to pay $100 plus.
Plus all the
I don't know
others.
how much the police were. I know that, you might have a better idea of how much it costs for the not-for-profit event that happened in the fall, and how much that was for the police, and how much that
I
was
thought it was
for.
$38 an hour.
$38
But I
an
mean-
It was
hour per
$38
person,
an hour.
per cop.
Right.
I don't know how many, I don't know how many hours you
Yeah.
charge for it, but. So do you wanna make a recommendation? Cause it would be really nice to put this to bed for everybody, so anyone who wants to.
I don't know how you work this, and you can't be arbitrary, for sure. But it seems like the people that we should be giving waivers to, or saying there's got to be no cost, are people that give back to the community totally. I don't know how you can differentiate that from somebody else, but that would be mine. If it's for an organization, a religion, or say the Republicans or Democrats wanna do something down there, and they're somehow a non-for-profit or something like that, or if it goes political, it's like, for me, I don't feel like there should be a break in that. I think there should be a break for organizations that are giving back to our community, because it's our park and we're taking care of it or whatever.
But if they're not charging for the event, and they're holding an event at Mayor's Park, and they're a group from Cold Spring, then to use Mayor's Park.
But for a ticketed event, we're cutting, I'm talking about the ticketed events. You're
Oh.
saying for the ticketed events, not-for-profits are still getting a cut, right?
Oh, yeah, 1/10 of the price.
Yes, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's
Okay,
like-
that's fine, but.
I don't know, I'm just saying, this is my feeling, and I don't know how you do that without being discriminative, but I think that there should be a way that, and I don't know if that would be, before we're saying, okay, we waived that because Scott had a thing down there or whatever, I mean, Can somebody
Well,
sue us because of that?
I think a village entity such as the fire department going down
Yeah,
and having the fire academy
I
there
agree,
is very different
yes.
than a group selling things that they're, and having a profit, no matter whether they're a nonprofit group or a profit group, they're still making a profit. The fire academy is not charging people to go there and use the, and do it.
Right.
And,
But like say the fire company wants to have something down there. The fire company, you know, is community-based and and the money's going back into the community or whatever they have and, you know, and the events that they have during the year,
I
like
guess
the
then we
academy.
would recommend that the community, that group, right to waive, to have the fees waived. And then we would make a determination whether or not that, you know, between the two groups, not just us, agree to waive the fee.
Which was, I think, what
Right.
Marie had.
But Fran
Oh,
brought
that
up
was a rule.
correctly that then we could be accused of discriminating for or against.
I thought we kinda covered it though, we're talking about a ticketed event, where they're charging, or, like Dave's saying, the fire company has a fire academy, it's not a ticketed event.
Mm.
So if we waive the fee, like the, Knights of Columbus was a ticketed event, I mean, you know, they were making profit. We didn't think $100 a day was,
It used to be just $100 straight, now we upped it to $100 a day.
I would think a ticketed event to the extent and the size of what the Knights of Columbus just had for 2 days and thousands of people. I think $100 a day is not really enough for that.
not
I-
enough.
I'd like to
percent?
say
Not
that,
enough. I would like to almost say half of what the for-profit price is, so if we're going 1,000 for profit, 500 a day. I'm sure people will yell and scream.
See, I think, I mean, I guess to the point, and not to pick on the Catholic Church, but I will, I'm not picking on them, I'm just
No.
saying, it's like, this is an organization that.
The Lions
the-
Club could choose to have something there and charge people, any group in town who has a 504, you know.
No, but I'm just saying, like with the Catholic Church or another, or any other religion that wants to come in here, they're not for profit, but their money that they're generating or that they're bringing is going back into their belief, their agendas and whatever. So is that community based? I mean, how much money of theirs has come back to the community from a KFC event? Where does it come? I mean, and there's people there that work and they do a great job, and I'm not saying anything against that, I'm just saying, that, you know, they're not for profit, but they're for a specific,
The church. They do
Is there- I have a
basketball at the
couple of
church, they do
questions.
all kinds of, you know.
it's based for their beliefs and their religion. Can we
Well,
have
it's not based
Muslims
for
come
their
in and do
beliefs.
the
It's not
same?
based for their beliefs, it's
Or
based
anyone
for-
else, and they would be allowed to come in and,
Right.
but it's not coming back into the community.
Well, it is coming back to the people who live in the community, who are members of that particular organization.
Organization.
Well,
But it's
then
not going back
It would be
into
the
the
same
It's not
thing
the
if
village,
the,
though, right?
Well, it is the village, it's the residents of the village.
Yeah, but not specifically, it doesn't profit the village as a corporation.
Whereas the Knights of, or not the Knights of Columbus, the Lions Club, I believe almost all your money comes back into our community, doesn't it?
Yeah,
And at the end of the year, you
90%.
zero
No
out.
guiding eyes for the blind, isn't,
Are you a 501c3?
no,
Not you.
no, they're working on it,
They're not even
So-
enough.
so Lions Club is-
Really?
I know,
Yeah.
I've got a
They're
question.
Jack,
Is there a distinction between a charitable, what's known as a charitable organization and a not-for-profit or non-profit organization?
I suspect that the federal
I
government
think there is,
would
but I don't,
have a delineation
yeah,
between.
I would need more investigation to find out if it's a charitable organization or a not-for-profit.
Because, you know, I mean, the NFL is a nonprofit organization, you know, but they,
They're doing okay.
yeah, they're doing okay. Well, they are.
Right.
That's, and that's the bugaboo that, that's the objection that a lot of people are having,
Yeah.
is that, yes, you know, they get all these tax breaks because they're a nonprofit organization, but they wind up making huge amounts of money that they wind up benefiting just their organization, like, you know,
Without putting this to
Yeah.
bed, I can.
however, I just wanted to make one comment about the fee structure for ticketed events. I think the discrepancy between not-for-profit or non-profit of $100 a day and $1,000 a day it's too far apart. I
Okay.
think, you know, I think
So can we have a recommendation, I mean,
500.
I would like to, and I should have done this and I'll apologize now. I mean, I'd like to talk to our attorney and see if there is a way that we can you know, break it down, so it is up to your discretion. So we know who they are, or we, you know.
We can decide to
If you-
waive it if we want.
Yeah, exactly, if there's, yeah, Jack?
So,
I'm sorry, can I just make a suggestion here? There are precedents for differences in the kind of funding, charging you're talking about based on whether the not-for-profit is what's called an independent not-for-profit, or whether it's housed in public property. So that
Was that again, sorry?
if it's housed in public property. So the rec department, for instance, is housed in town property. The fire station is housed in town property. And I believe it's been supported that you can create a class of not-for-profits based on that, because there's a public tie-in through the real estate, basically. And if you look at New York City and the way they give away money to arts not-for-profits, a relatively small amount goes to independent not-for-profits who are privileged and get a grant. The vast majority goes to the major institutions like the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Bronx Zoo. Those are all in city-controlled properties. And so there may be, I think you're right to go to your attorney, to tell you the truth, because I think it's a lawyer's issue. But there may be some wisdom that you can find in that model to at least simplify the problem for you.
I would just like, I respectfully disagree about the, and I keep using the Knights of Columbus because they're the ones that have been using it. Maybe we can shift it a little bit. To me, $500 a day is really cutting into their profits. And I don't know what their expenses are as far as how much comes back to the community. I know a lot of it does. I don't know what percentage does, but I don't know, to me, raising
where
it
else would
from
it go?
100 to 500, you know, they have to shell out $1,000, I think that really cuts into what they're trying to, you know, trying to do. Would be like the Lions Club or anything else, you know. I think it's a little bit high as far as I'm concerned, but
So,
maybe we can.
I agree, and but I just think that if there's a way we can do it, that we know it's a local community and it's coming
Right.
back to our local,
Right.
to our
well, I think we certainly can investigate both of these things. I think we can investigate what, I'm sorry, I don't even have that, thank you. I can investigate what he has to say, and we can investigate also the charitable organization identification versus a not-for-profit designation. So those, I don't mind still doing a little bit of road work on this, because I'd rather have something that we can use, everybody feels comfortable with, and we don't have a lot of, oh, well, it's supposed to be over here, or, oh, well, no, it's over here. I'd rather it be as clear and concise as possible, so that when people are filling out the application, they know what they're doing. And if they wanna complain as they're filling it out, that's fine, but we're gonna treat everybody as equitable as we can. And waivers and hardship things are completely minimized. I mean, they're gonna happen,
I
but
think
they
another
shouldn't.
example of an application that we have, and they want to have it again, and had it last year, was Marzola and Malia, that has her yoga seminar, whatever you want to call it down there. That's a ticketed event, they charge money, they make money, there's a lot of people that go there, but they're a not-for-profit. So, does that money come back? Does that, I mean, how many different, you know, groups
Right.
are there
So-
out there
so-
like that?
so-
More and more people are trying to get
So,
not-for-profit
as
status.
far as the current application that we have on hand, we're gonna approve it at the fee structure that we discussed a few minutes ago, right? $1,000 a day,
Mhm.
$250 a day on, setup and breakdown days. Okay, that's a given. Okay, so
And will you
I-
communicate that back to the woman?
Right, I'll come and see Jeff tomorrow, and Jeff and I will make sure.
There was one thing in your fee schedule, or one thing that's mentioned in there, was if the dumpster is full. I think that has to be clearer than if
Yeah,
it's still
right, I have
full,
that,
then they're
Yeah.
responsible.
Yeah.
I mean, what's full and what's not.
Well, that just means, you know, if they
Three-quarters
if they
full.
use our dumpster, then they lose their deposit. But what happens if they use the dumpster down there that belongs to the rec? I don't know why people wouldn't use it. I don't understand the whole, having a dumpster down there anyway. It's either, it must be there for people to use, or else we wouldn't have a dumpster there, right?
I don't know how it started.
Yeah.
It's a good
So,
question,
I
I guess.
don't know, I guess,
It started because they weren't taking the garbage out and it was just
Yeah.
piling up inside, so we went, I got Dave, we looked at it as a dumpster for nothing.
So the village wasn't dumping this stuff, or,
No, well, whoever was taking care of it, they were complaining all the time because the school, when they were using for baseball, were filling up the can, and weren't dumping it. So we put dumps in there and they were hoping that they would dump it into but it didn't work out either, so. that's-
so would you object if we got rid of that dumpster?
No,
Although it's really, at the senior barbecue, picnic, whatever, we used it a
Yeah,
lot.
filled it.
But we can have,
the thing is, if they're gonna use it, when they use the thing field, they should know right from the start, if they fill it up, they're gonna pay to have it dumped. I mean, there's gotta be a fee that would come up with.
what do you mean by fill it up? That's what I'm saying, if you
Well,
use it at all?
Use it. If they use
If they use it,
Right,
they
okay,
use it, they
yeah.
pay for it.
then they should have to pay for it, because it's supposed to carry in and carry out the garbage.
Yeah.
If they use it, then there should be some kind of a fee that they get charged
Right.
by the village for going down there to dump into the garbage truck.
Right.
I mean, right is right.
It's just a matter of clarity.
Yeah, I think
Right.
in the way it's written in there, it's
Yeah,
if
right.
it's filled, and I would just read that as,
Okay,
It's used, if they use
yeah,
it.
please.
Right.
I've got my orders,
Yes, Jack?
I have my orders, we'll talk about it, and then I'll email you guys the latest copy of it. So I'll look into the charitable organizations versus not-for-profit, I'll look at independent not-for-profits versus public property, and then as far as the number, since we already have doubled the fee. It was $100 for the weekend, now it's $100 a day. I'm gonna make a suggestion that we go to $200 a day for, anything that's not a charitable, or, consider this, we go to $200 a day for anything that's not a charitable or a public property, not-for-profit.
Well, in addition, Dave is going to ask our attorney for, his input on this as
Maybe
well.
there's some way we can have a list of this is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
how we can determine.
How
Right.
the
It's not gonna hurt
differential.
to
No,
ask.
Okay.
It's not gonna hurt to
So-
ask at all.
How do we get to $38 per hour for a police officer? That seems a little low to me.
That was quoted to us,
That
huh?
was
That
what we
was,
charged.
yeah.
That's for the police
Police
officer?
department
Yeah.
says?
Yes.
I think Larry,
And
Yeah, we had a much larger amount originally, and it was changed.
I think that came from Larry.
I think we had
I
$75
think,
an hour.
That makes more sense.
I think there's a limit, a cap on what we can charge.
Okay, it just seems really low.
No,
No,
so
that's
Michelle came up with a number.
It's based upon the, current PBA contract rates, and it's what we pay.
So we're not profiting from it?
No, no.
We're just passing it along.
In addition to conveying the lease terms to the applicant, if that's the applicant you're talking about, I know she's eager to submit a deposit. So if that's changed, when the deposit, if that can be conveyed to her as well, I know she wants to lock down that site, that's all.
Yep, I'll have the sheet done, I'll fix it tomorrow morning,
Okay.
and have that one sheet done that's focused on what her fees would be.
I'll try to
today.
get together with John tomorrow, our attorney, and ask him, so I can get right back to you on that.
If we're leasing events that have thousands of people out, doesn't that change how our police are insured, or are we okay with that stuff?
That's the number that Michelle came up with, which is salary equals what it is.
Oh, I understand that, but-
Police per,
But does our insurance cover our police force when they're covering a 1,000-person event, or is that just to walk around the street and, do their normal daily work? It seems a different risk pool or whatever to me. I'm curious about that. I should ask Karen about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that may not even be covering our insurance, because they.
We pay their
I think we hammered out some stuff, and now we have more questions again. That seems to be where we go.
Thanks for all your time and work on it, you guys have been at it for a long time, thank you, definitely
And we,
appreciate it.
right now, there are 4 members, Jeff member tonight, but he's still a member, I think his term is up. His is the next term up, but if anyone knows of anybody, we're gonna publicize it again to, get another member. I mean, I asked, but
I've asked a few people too.
it's challenging.
Alright.
Anybody want a double tip? we're joking. So thank you. Any questions, guys?
Triple or quadruple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When this was a hearing to change it to 5, when does it formally become 5?
After it's filed with the, state, with the,
Really?
yeah, Department of the Interior, yes, it has to be filed in Albany. So if we pass this tonight, Jeff will then submit it to Albany, and once it is filed, then it becomes effective. Given the time of year, I wouldn't imagine it will be effective until sometime early in January.
Okay. All right.
Just the one question, when do we have to have a budget put in, when do you start? I mean, when do we start doing that? It's just like-
I would, that's a great question. I would say, if you could get it in by the, when does Michelle come back?
Michelle comes back the first of January,
I
first week of January, she's back.
thought you said the third week.
No, she's-
Let's say January 15th,
Okay.
okay?
Michelle will be able to work with you.
That's when we're asking people to have their budgets.
That's what Marie's asking.
Yeah.
Michelle will be able to.
I'm just thinking there's certain things that I saw there's a few things on the bandstand that's gotta be fixed.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, so.
I tell you, I've asked, when Jeff was the chair, I
I
asked
know.
him every year to give me what's needed or whatever, and at the last minute, it was like, we want the same amount, and with
Okay,
no
so-
explanation, so
So you're gonna
all
get a
we need
real
from you
budget
guys is
request?
what you need, and we'll be glad to work it out.
Yeah, but we're not, Matt, right now is December 18th, and we're not gonna meet again before January 15th, so. is it-
I don't think we're asking anyone else to have their budgets in
So we
January.
probably should have
That's
a
because
brief
Michelle
January
has-
meeting. and then-
What did she,
I
last
thought
year?
we were in February, wasn't
I
it?
thought she had it, I thought she had it for
Tuesday.
February
Michelle will
1st.
notify everybody that she needs to have budget meetings,
Oh,
she
yeah,
does that too. I would venture to say.
We'll have it in before the end of January, and it will be.
That'd be great.
it will be a budget.
That'd be perfect.
That'd be good.
All right, great, thank you so much.
$100,000, Senator?
Sure, no problem, just give
Great.
us a,
That's
give us
as
a
long as
list.
it- as long
But
as
that's a
it's
good
solid.
question, the
Good
painting
starting
of-
point.
The painting of the bandstand, that's,
Painting
I
of
was
the
just telling
bandstand,
you-
I believe gets done by the prisoners.
Thank you, painting of it, yeah.
Talk
The
to
last
Jeff,
time.
talk to Jeff about that.
But there's repairs needed,
There's,
too,
there's electrical repairs,
and also, like,
and
Wood.
probably yeah.
Painting, we can get,
Yeah, right, that's, they did it last time, DC did it.
yeah.
whatever
And I
you
believe
need
they're
though,
coming
should
in.
be in your budget, whether
Yeah,
we're getting
right.
them to do it or not.
Yeah,
Because if they
right.
can't do it, then we have to have money appropriated.
Okay, all right.
Thank
well,
you.
what they're putting up with
I'm
lights
still
we can
living
paint
up
at the
in
same
the-
time. It's a joke, it's a joke.
Not
Thank
only-
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. We're supposed to be home by
Okay, so, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Dave, who seconded?
I did.
Thank you.
And now I'll make a motion to adopt, the resolution 31, 2018, adopting local law 03-2000, 2108 and 8 to amend chapter 27, regulating the Recreation Commission, which we just went over, and Marie just went over.
I'll second that.
I guess I'll read it, it's quick. Whereas the Village of Cold Spring Board of Trustees has caused to be prepared a draft of the local law to amend chapter 27 of the Village Code regulating Recreation Commission, whereas the Village of Cold Spring Board of Trustees held a duly noticed public hearing on the draft amended local law on December 18, 2018, and whereas the Village of Cold Spring Board of Trustees has complied with the requirements of the State Environmental Quality Review Act as it applies to the adoption of the draft amended local law. Now therefore be it resolved that local law number 3 of 2018 is hereby adopted, and the village clerk is hereby authorized and directed to take all of the actions necessary to complete the local law adoption procedure, including filing said local law with the New York State Office of the Secretary of State.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Early?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Bellotto?
Yes.
Mayor Morandi?
I vote yes. Thank you for all the work on that. Adoption of bills, or approval,
Oh.
sorry.
I move to approve the bills, batch number 4915, for the total amount of $47,573.94.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes, Board of Trustees Workshop, 11/27/18. I'll make a motion to accept.
Second?
Discussion?
There's one typo on page 3. Correspondence has only one S.
Nice.
With that correction, all in favor?
Okay?
And let's see, the next is, Board of Trustees Workshop, 12/4/18. I'll make a motion to accept.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anything from the board?
Yes, Fran and I met with Central Hudson at our annual get-together last week. Central Hudson is going to be doing an evaluation of the interior lighting of this building and the highway department on Thursday. And the evaluation will identify what would be required to go from fluorescents to LED-like fluorescent-like bulbs, the cost of doing that, and the savings. So, now, this is the second time the village has done an audit of the lighting. The fluorescents that we have now were as a result of an audit that was done prior to 2015. And we're hoping we can see some significant savings.
But I thought when we first took us, didn't you do, I thought it was LEDs that you did. Is that what,
You may,
NYSERDA?
that was Lime. Lime was the name of the company, Lime Energy, and they came in and gave us a proposal on changing all of the all of the fluorescent to LEDs.
Right, oh, okay.
But the numbers that they gave us were based upon Con Ed, not
Right.
Central Hudson, and the rates are dramatically different. So, this is, we'll see what they have to say.
Just one thing, if you saw some workers on top of the firehouse roof today, it was because, I guess in order to get the warranty, whoever issues that wanted them to do some additional work, so I'm not sure what they were doing, but they were doing work that was requested in order to get the, I know, it's like, what's going on? It's a leak.
Jeff, do you know what's going on with me?
Anyway, that's,
Is it?
I think that's about it. I'd like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and let's hope that 2019 is a lot better.
Oh, this wasn't bad.
Thank you all for your hard work during the year.
Thank you for yours
Oh,
also.
Thank you.
And make sure to walk Main Street this Saturday evening. We're having the Luminaria event. The Brazils ensemble is going to start it all off at St. Mary's with a carol.
Nice.
And we're gonna be lighting as we go down.
We
So,
have volunteers from Walter Hoving Home are coming over to help, and
Great.
it's all being assembled in the fire station.
Yeah,
So-
and-
No, they're not for profit.
They are not for profit.
and the fire company has generously let us use their meeting room to
Yeah,
assemble the luminaries, so
Great.
it's,
and we have a donation from C&E Paint of long,
Oh,
butane lighters to do it,
Nice.
yeah.
and
So-
Padella Landscaping for sand
very nice.
So
to
thank you
wait
all.
them down.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Take care.
talk to you later.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you all,
Christmas.
yes.
Happy Christmas, Kwanzaa.
I'm not gonna get that.
Okay.
Thanks for the